Hello, hi. Okay, I'm trying to invite people. Okay, I've got my camera. Let's see. Draw a dot. Yes. Okay, let's see. Oh, Karen. There we go.
You got me.
I got you. I sent a request to Karen to join. And then there's you.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
Yay!
yes. Oh God, it
Okay.
has to be through like the US. I
Oh
guess the
my
Canada
gosh. Is
doesn't
Beck
have
here
this
yet?
yet.
I'm looking for Beck.
Oh my God, this is so new. We are so lost.
Okay. I think
Yes, we have
Yes!
everyone
we're
finally.
here. We made it. Oh my gosh, that was
Yay!
technical glitches. Made me a little nervous here.
Trust me, we are all really nervous about this because this is the first time we are doing this whole live thing. I mean, great job. We finished it. We
Yay!
high
Oh,
five.
yeah.
I mean, if you guys were us, like in that private chat room, you will see us actually talking at 4 a.m. in the morning, and you guys like 1 a.m. in the morning, figuring out what to do with this campaign. So far, I'm just saying that the response is super good. How old do I look? What are you doing, Sandra? Are you playing with different filters?
Oh no, I'm sorry.
Ooh, I want to
No,
play
I'm
with
like,
filters
I need
again.
that filter. I need a filter to look better
Yes,
on screen.
I
I
need I need a filter too.
You guys look great.
You guys look great. Honestly, what's the
Says the
point for like
college
having this
student.
filter? But just want to say thank you so much for being part of this. The last 2 weeks were quite challenging because we have to figure out what is the right image, like how do we make this together. Um, I think you guys can actually talk about like your individual like illustration. And then we can talk about how we actually combine that together. Because I think the most important, the most interesting part is we actually do not have like sort of like a guideline. It's sort of like a freestyle. You guys individually decide what to do. The only guideline is I'm giving you two brands, and then you guys have to figure out what to do with it. So maybe we can start with Sandra to discuss about like your piece.
Yeah, well, you know, I think when we first met on Zoom to talk about this project, we had been, kind of down about the violence and the hate and sort of all the negative words that were associated with what was going on. And so we wanted to, come up with something positive to share with the community. And so the four of us together came up with a way to amplify Asian voices was to share our stories and for us to be seen as individuals as opposed to just a collective stereotype of Asians who brought the pandemic to the Western Hemisphere and all this kind of stuff that was just totally negative, and that anybody who actually knew us as individuals would never subscribe to that idea or perpetrate violence against friends or people that they know. So that's what that was the starting point that I got to. And then I also am a dancer. So I just automatically always save lots of images of dancers that I fall in love with when I'm looking around on Pinterest or whatever. So that was the starting point. And and there were the three of us, illustrating this project. And that just all coalesced into this idea of togetherness. And also Marcus mentioned the idea of the red thread of fate that runs through our illustration. And it just beautifully tied the whole thing together. And that's a way of telling a story, of coming together and lifting each other up. And that's how I came up with my illustration.
Cool. So question time. Who is who in their illustration?
Who what? Oh, who's
Who
who?
is who?
Let's see. I'm the girl dancing with their leg up in the air, of course.
Very cool.
I love that
And
one.
let's see. Well, I kind of think of Karen as being like the grounding mom character, because she's got kids at home. She's in the middle, you know, and then, you know, and she's kind of holding me and Beck up, and Beck with her, you know,
The hand.
colored ends on her hair is the badass girl on the other side.
And then it connects to like Beck's illustration as well,
Yes.
which is really, really cool.
That's right.
So now we should jump to Karen. I honestly think that your illustration is really interesting. I didn't expect to see like two influencers in your illustration.
Yeah, I didn't either. Well, you know what? After we spoke and then we hung up, I was like, wait, what am I supposed to do now? How am I going to start this? And like, how are we going to use fashion illustration to, address what's going on with the rise of violence against Asian Americans? And I thought, I have no idea. But then I saw the IG Live that Eva Chen hosted, and what Amanda Nguyen said just really resonated with me. I mean, I wrote down what she said word for word, and I was just so inspired. And I think it's just like, I mean, let's see, I wrote down a few things, but like the way how she ended her speech was demand to be seen. And I just thought, you know what? Because that's what Asian Americans need to do. We need to demand to be seen. And historically, we wanted to keep silent. And I think, we discussed that during our call. And she mentioned that. And she said that, systematically, we're locked out of certain media channels, and she said, just turn to social media. So it's like it's within our hands. And then I thought that's so perfect because Eva Chen, she's in charge of fashion partnerships at Instagram, and how perfect is it? And I thought I can combine those two people that really have inspired me. And then also, Marcus, you gave me Philip Lim and Monse, and
Yes.
I thought, okay, I have two. And then when I was researching Amanda, she actually went to a Philip Lim fashion show. And I've always seen Eva Chen in Monse, and it's always been red. So I thought, oh, this is perfect. And so I just illustrated them together and, back to back, as in I have your back. I don't know if you noticed, but like there's like a little heart that they're making with their hands when they're connected. It's tiny. And also
Yes, I
because
see that now.
I'm also really bad about drawing hands, so they're like tiny little. and then also, I just thought, okay, for the background, I wasn't sure. First, I was using like soft pink for love, and then I thought, you know what? Like we demand to be seen. That just like really resonated with me, and then the yellow. I wanted to own the color yellow because it's always been used as a racist slur, and I thought, but there's so many different meanings to that yellow. It could mean optimism, and just luminous. It's bright, and there's just I just thought I'm just going to own it, and I'm going to make it really bright. And I want us to all just realize that we need to demand to be seen, just like what Amanda said.
That is really, really cool. Especially I see that heart. And then also like I love the fact that you have that little orange dot to start with this whole thing.
For you.
That is just brilliant.
And then the red and the yellow together just makes orange. And I just thought, wait, this is fate.
You got it. I have no idea. I didn't go too deep into it, but now you explain it, I would be like, cool.
And it's not even, and then like for me, it's not even my typical style of drawing because I like to just like really make them more cartoony. But it was important for me to show that it was Amanda and Eva, and even though it's not realistic, it kind of looks
it's
like
recognizable. It's totally recognizable. Like I can see that, oh, that's Eva. And then again, I didn't even know that she's pregnant again. So I was like, oh,
yeah, and it's
okay.
an optimistic message, right? Like looking towards the future and all that.
Yes, absolutely. Now we are moving to Beck. So you can tell us about your illustration. I think yours is actually really interesting too.
So I guess I wanted to say through my pieces is spreading love. Even if we have a different skin color, there's only one race, human. I mean, I was always silence agreeer or like silently raising my hands and showing my solidarity if anyone who spoke up about this topic. It just really never really used my I never really used my voice to be heard. And like thanks to Marcus and thanks to Sandra and Karen, I'm finally able to contribute my voice through this campaign. I'm very thankful.
Yes, and I think that your piece is basically about universal love as well, because in the end you have a different frames, you have different skin color. I think that is really, really cool as well. And that whole like red ribbon holding hands. I love the fact that all three of you actually have this whole holding hand thing in your own illustration, which is sort of like, wow, this is the time that we really need to like be united and like do this together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were like brainstorming how to actually connect all these illustrations together, we were saying that maybe you should use like a red thread to do that, because in Chinese like mythology, it's about the thread of fate. So I don't remember the god, but basically what he does is try to tie two people together. It's like they will become destined lovers. But in our situation is we are connected together because of this line, like this thread of fate, and then we as Asians are sticking together and try to like spread the right message to you guys and tell everyone's like, how should you treat us? How should we like? How should you appreciate our culture? I think in one of the stories that like one of the things that we were talking is we are not just Asians. We all have like different cultural backgrounds. Like I'm Chinese, Sandra is Chinese, Karen and Beck are Koreans. So, but in the larger scheme, everyone just like, oh, this is a group of Asians. I'm sure a lot of people automatically, if you watch this group right now, will automatically say, oh, they're 4 Asians right now. But we actually have different nationality. And then we like, so I think this is something that is really major for us to actually tell people. And just like what happened, I mean, we all post our post on Instagram today. I will talk about like my experiences. I share is people laugh at my accent. People don't think that like I can blend in with the Canadian like society because of my interesting accent. They would say like you're an ESL, so it's sort of like giving you the free passing that because you're ESL, you don't really belong to this land. And when I was a kid, when I heard about this, I'll be like, okay, yeah, it's true, I'm ESL. But at the same time, I didn't realize that this sort of make me feel shame. Like I feel shame because I'll be like, yeah, I can never speak like a normal person. I don't feel like I am a normal person in Canada. When I go back to Asia, because I can speak fluent Cantonese, that makes me normal. And then it's sort of like, and then after that, you will start to like wonder why all Asians have the phrase ESL. Like when you don't speak perfect English, they would say, "Oh yeah, you're ESL." This sort of like a subtle like discrimination, and then it really affects a lot of people because when you build up that kind of thing for years, you'll be like, "Yeah, I feel shame," and sometimes I will be honest. There are times that I don't even like my voice. Just because when I speak English, then I will think about I don't speak proper English. So that is the kind of things that I realized that this is what the culture is doing, like the society is doing to us.
That
And
other people have put on you.
Yeah.
yes. So I think maybe Sandra, Karen, and Beck can talk about what's going on in the States, because I know a lot of people here wants to help, want to be part of this project, but they just don't know what's really going on in the States right now. So who wants to go first and talk about the current situation?
Well, one of the things actually, I mean, directly related to the pandemic, I mean, I think it was literally the week before shutdown happened here in California. I was at my doctor's office and, you know, there had been a lot of stuff on the news about the virus and I was just in the waiting room and this woman walked up to me and said, you know, they're screening people at LAX who are coming from China. And for her to say that to me, to be, I was singled out because of the way I looked. And it was the first time I'd encountered sort of like in my face racism here in the west side of Los Angeles, which is very liberal, in many, many years. So that was just sort of, I mean, before the lockdown even happened and everybody was really aware of it. And then, but it was the result of the rhetoric that was being fed through the media by, the president at the time, calling it the China virus, calling it the Kung flu. And it's just, for that to simmer up all the way through to the west side of Los Angeles, which is like sort of a liberal mecca, is it was a big deal. And we've seen it happening throughout the year. And Asian businesses have lost, have people stopped going to Asian businesses. It's not just the violence. It's, people have lost their livelihoods because of this rhetoric. And it's just so infuriating and unfair. And, that's why we are doing this, to make people aware that it's not right.
What about you, Beck? Have you been having this kind of experience before in Los Angeles?
Well, not in California, but when I was in New York, I've had experience about racism. The subtle racism wasn't really towards me, but in New York, there was one of my favorite local Korean takeout place, and there was a 2 table. So me and my husband often go there and just enjoy the food. One of our favorite Korean spicy tofu soup. Yeah, yeah. And so one day there is the random drunken guy came in when we were there, and believe he ordered some soup, and then suddenly he yelled at the owner, saying like, "F Korean, don't know how to cook. What is this?" And he asked for the price, and then he said, "Why this is so pricey? By the way, the soup was only $5." And to me, it was the most comfort, delicious food. But he was saying like, "This is not even food." And that time we heard that, and it was so disturbing. So him and owner, they argue each other, and we end up talking back to him as well. But I still think that I didn't have enough voice that time. But luckily, it was ended quickly by him leaving. For me, like the sad thing is, even if it happened to me, I'm not taking the racism issue seriously until I started hearing my neighbor experience, and then my friend's experience, and then my husband's cousin experience. Then even my mother called, warning me to be careful out on the street. Then I realized this issue has been surged more than ever.
That is really, really like sad, and like, yeah, it's getting like severe every day. I know Karen has a lot of experience on that as well, especially like when you're with your kids. I remember that subway incident, right?
Oh gosh, subway incident. Can you remind me?
So like you with your kids, and suddenly there were 2 guys actually went to you and start to talk about some random languages and act like, say something really random. I remember.
Yeah.
But if not, that's okay.
Yeah.
You can tell your experience.
I'm like, which one was this? Well, no, it's just like, it's just the subtle racism, right? It's just like the casual racism. But for me, because of the lockdown, I've just been staying home with the kids, and I'm really lucky that we've been able to stay home, and I'm really relieved because I'm kind of scared to go out. Like I make sure I have my sunglasses on, my mask on, obviously, but just, so that way no one can see that I'm Asian, although I'm sure they can, but you know what I mean? I'm scared. And I think that's the sad part. But, like the racism in America existed long, I don't know, ever since I was like, for me, when it started was 6th grade, it was 6th grade camp. And it was my first experience of just any sort of racism. I was with my girlfriends, my schoolmates. You know, I'm from Cerritos, and it has mostly Asian Americans, but it's very diverse. But my girlfriends then were Chinese Americans and Japanese Americans, and you know, we were just all just standing around, and then all of a sudden, I hear someone say "Ching Chong, Ching Chong Fong, Ching Chong," and then you know, it was just like, "Look at them, just look at them," and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And it's just like, you know, I'm looking around like, are they talking about us? Is that us? And then they started to lift their eyes up, you know, and it just started to, you know, make that fox eye, the little slits. And it was really traumatic. You know, I still remember that day as if it was yesterday. I feel like what I'm going to do is I have to like do like a little comic strip just to like process the emotions and just write about it some more, you know. But that was my first incident, and I still remember it to this day. And I could see why in the beauty industry they want to mimic the fox eye, because it's beautiful, right? But at the same time, with it comes so much pain and memory of like how it was used towards me and towards so many people.
How many of you guys have experienced that exact thing that Karen talked about?
I think all of us, right?
Certainly, it happened to me all the time in grade school, actually.
Where did you go to school?
Santa Monica, California.
Oh man.
But that was, I mean, I'm much older than you guys. You know, that was in the late 70s, early 80s. So
yeah.
But yeah, for me in the 90s when I was a kid, because I'm Chinese, so when I went to stores, I would have people following me just because I am Chinese, but not other kids. So it's, yeah, at one point it made me feel really uncomfortable, but at the same time, again, I was like, okay, this is like a foreign land. I guess this is how it is. And I didn't realize that this is actually unfair to the Asian community. Just because we have a different skin color, that doesn't mean that we are going to do bad things.
Yeah, well, actually, talking about just Marcus's story about his accent reminded me that I can't tell you how many times, you know, Karen, you came here when you were very young, as well as me. And so, like, I feel like most of my friends say I don't have an accent. I have a California accent. I don't have really, you know, because I didn't speak any English before I came, and it was almost the first language that I learned, right?
Yeah.
But so many people in my life, in my experience, have come up to me and said, "Hey, wow, you speak English really well for for someone from China." Like, what makes them assume that that's who I am? It's just that's a very subtle form of racism. It's like, oh, they're complimenting you on how well you speak English, but it's really a put down.
Yeah, and it's the way how to make us feel as if we're others, like we don't belong here.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I think that's the sad part. It's because, you know, I think we talked about this where when I go back to Korea, I don't quite feel like I belong there. You know, when I go back to Seoul, and then like I don't feel like I belong here when I do get the racism. So then it's like, where do we belong? You know, because I know I'm proud to be an Asian American. I'm proud to be a Korean American. But at the same time, when you're made to feel as if you don't belong here, I mean, that can do something to your mental health.
Yeah. And that's, you know, I mean, there are plenty of people who have immigrated here from Europe who never get that kind of treatment, right? Because that's just, you know, because they look the same as the people who, you know, established this country, I guess.
Absolutely. And do you think that the media is responsible for creating this monster?
Well, the lack of our representation in the media certainly is, right? I mean, growing up, I thought I was supposed to look like the girl in 17 magazine. I thought I was supposed to look like, you know, whoever was like the top model at the time, you know, Cindy Crawford. You know, I thought that's the way that I should aspire to look. I mean, actually, white girls can't even aspire to look like Cindy Crawford either, but you know, the whole, you know, big eyes, the deep set, the big eyes. It was like, oh, I wish I could have eyes like that. And
Absolutely.
you know,
But media also portray like Asians as like they only love money, they only work really hard, they really don't care about politics, and people can attack them and they won't say a word. Do you see this is like what is happening in the real world right now? That's why like non-Asians are trying to say this kind of things to us.
I don't know, the way he sort of villainized China. I mean, the way he said China all the
Or
time.
even Kung Flu.
Yeah, it's just he villainized the whole country, and as a result, and I know there are issues with
normalized it too.
politics and everything, but you know, you have to consider how it affects the people who are living here, and you know, not just his, you know,
Absolutely.
the people who look like him.
Yes, but I also think that this is not only like happening in US or Canada. I'm sure that in Europe, probably a lot of Asians experience this kind of thing as well. It's like in general, when you look at when you go watch movies, when you go look at magazines, they never really care about whether you're Korean, Japanese, or Chinese, or Thai, or other like from other countries. As long as you have the Asian face, as long as you're yellow skin, I will take you. And then we'll just say we are diverse, like we are trying to promote diversity. We try to include one Asian model. And it doesn't even matter whether it's like Chinese or Japanese or Korean. I think in the fashion world, especially, we don't really see this kind, like, let's say, like, when you look at fashion magazines or runway show, when you see the reviews, they always say they are Asian models and Black models, but they wouldn't say where in Asia or what kind of Black models are we getting. So it's sort of, I think, in this sense, writers also need to be educated. It's not like in general, just because I have yellow skin, I'm Asian. I'm more than that. You should be respecting my nationality. And same with like Black people. You should be like respecting them and say which country or what's the culture. So I think there are just a lot of things for us to learn. And I remember we were talking about, we don't know, like in Black Lives Matter, you see the Black people is trying to like asking for non-Black people to support them. But when it comes to the Asian culture community, I haven't seen anything. Like we speak up, but at the same time, is it because our pride? We don't want other non-Asians to help us. That is the part that I don't get.
Yeah, I think traditionally, my parents always just, you know, made it like, we don't want to cause any trouble. We don't want to be loud. We don't want to call attention to ourselves. We just want to live our lives and have them leave us alone. And we'll take whatever, you know, small insults just in order to be able to make money and send our kids to school and have a good life. But, you know, I don't think that works.
No, not at all. But in your case, like four of us, how do you want the non-Asians to support us? What kind of things do you want them to do to be our ally? This is a question for like everyone is listening or watching in this room as well. Like if you're Asians, tell us, how should non-Asians support the Asian community? And for the non-Asians, what kind of things do you want to do to support us? Because there is no guideline. It's not like Black Lives Matter. We kind of know saying that we're here, we're listening, we see you. But when it comes to this Asian racism, we don't know. We see a lot of designers like Bravo, Philip Lim, Eva Chan all talking about it. But at the same time, it doesn't really tell you how you can actually support the community other than talk about our culture or like donation? Is there any other way you guys can help us? I mean, this project that we're doing, Share Your Asian Story, is to sort of like bring people together using artworks to express what it's supposed to like do with the Asian community. And for non-Asians, if you appreciate Asian culture, you can you can use artworks, you can use like poems or everything to like honoring the culture. But other than that, what else can we do to improve the situation? Because we can see that it's getting worse. Like the numbers going up.
Well, I think we first have to address that, racism towards Asians, sometimes it's just not even viewed as racism. They just don't. They just think like it's, they think it's okay. So I think that's something that we have to acknowledge. And I feel like our generation, we're getting more savvy and we are speaking up, unlike our parents' generation.
Oops, frozen.
Frozen. Come back.
Oh, sorry about
Come
that.
back.
Oh, you got a phone call.
I'm using my phone. But yeah, so yeah, and I think because we are changing in the sense that the younger generation is speaking up, I think that is great. And I think so those two things I think have to go hand in hand, and that we have to recognize that, one, racism towards Asians, the casual racism, and we have to like really acknowledge that. We have to just say that's straight up racism, and then I think too, because we are able to be savvy with social media. And I think what Amanda Nguyen was so right on, because if we can't get our voices on traditional media, like TV, news, then we could just like voice our, voices, we could amplify our voices through social media. And I think that in itself is awesome, that we have control, that we can do this on our own. And non-Asians can support just by like reposting, just by talking about it, just acknowledging that that's straight up racism. That's not just, like a comment. That's, that's just not an opinion. That's racism. I think they're for Team Vogue, they just announced a new editor-in-chief. And when I saw her tweets, oh my God, like she doesn't want to wake up with Asian eyes or puffy Asian eyes. It's like, I'm sorry, she's gonna be the editor-in-chief of Teen Vogue, and this happened in 2011. Is that, I don't know if I'm right, but correct me if I'm wrong. But and then I thought, wait, 2011? That's not like it was 1987. This is 2011. It was the year after my son was born. So my first one. So I'm just like, I don't know. That to me, that's racism. But I don't.
Yeah. And I want to say, just like in the Black Lives Matter movement, I made an effort to support Black businesses and to sort of share the art of Black artists that I follow on my social media, and, in a positive way, raise awareness about the individuals in our community, and to see each person as an individual and not just a color representing a race, to recognize that there are different voices, and that each of them is important. And I think the thing about racism or sexism or ageism, it's all about seeing a group of people as one thing instead of individuals, and recognizing the differences and or the great things that each individual brings to the table. So for our allies, we would just ask you to do the same thing that you do for our Black brothers and sisters, and support our businesses and amplify our voices.
Absolutely. And then maybe learn more. Like you can always go to, for example, Hate is a Virus, to learn more what's going on in the Asian community right now. And also, I think that's the GoFundMe, right? With AAPI, is it?
Stop AAPI hate. Yeah.
Yes, that one is actually really important too. So those, for people who actually want to donate, then you can look into those two organizations and see what they do, and then see how you can support them. But honestly, for people who actually wants to like be part of this, use your artwork, use your way to actually amplify the Asian community. Like we need, to be honest, we need your help. I know a lot of people, a lot of Asians are probably still not like going to say too much, but then we got to do it. This is something that is close to all of us, because I'm sure who is watching right now, you might have some Asian friends. And right now they might live really well, but the next moment they might be the target that people want to attack. So if you don't protect them, you don't protect us, then we are pretty much like done.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. And I still remember that how I was, you all probably know about like 2 weeks ago what happened to like the attack, right? With Draw Dot Together with the hashtag. I still remember some people, one of the white person from that group DM me say, I am making money out of the Black Lives Matter. And I basically was just like, why would I do that? What's the what's the benefit for me to do that? And I can tell you the same, like all four of us here, we didn't get paid to do this campaign. It's sort of like we decided to band like together and to do something for the community. To be honest, what's the benefit for all of us? We don't even know. We just want to reach out to the right people so they can continue to amplify our voices. Like, we are not going to expect we're going to gain like 10,000 followers right after this campaign. We are not thinking that we're going to make money because of this. We are more like thinking about how can we help? What can we do? How can we include the community to do something to like tackle this issue? That's our main goal. If we talk about money right now, we're probably at a loss, especially sleep time.
I
We
know.
couldn't even sleep. Like, we were talking at 4 a.m. in the morning. And then I remember one time Sandra sent me the illustration at 5 a.m. in the morning. Like, this is not, if not because we really want to do something, we wouldn't stay up that late to like think what to do.
Yeah. I felt like this project was such a cathartic experience for me, because once I started talking to you guys, and I started hearing Tammy from Hate is a Virus speaking on Clubhouse, and all the Asian Americans that got together to speak collectively about their experiences, just like we're sharing here, it brought back all these things that we have to suppress in order to function day to day, to go on with our lives. But to hear it all come through, and to feel part of this community, and our experience, and for me to be able to put it into an illustration, which is my way of expression, and to put it out into the world. I did it as much for me as for the community, because it felt so good to finally let it out, and to finally have other people understand what's going on.
Yes, it's the same. Yes, it's the same. I was just like, oh my God, it's finally out. Like the moment I released the campaign images, I was like, okay, this is it. I don't care anymore. I mean, we have done our best. So let's see where this is going to lead to. So, but at the same time, I can let you guys know that like Private Policy has reposted, Bravo has reposted, Philip Lim has reposted, Amanda Nguyen has actually commented on it. I think this is just going to keep going. And I mean, for anyone who is actually like watching this right now, we also want to see, because if you look at the brief, there's a list of designers that we want to support. They are Asian like Americans, or they actually support the Asians. So if you see there are any more brands that are supporting this Asian movement, please let me know, because I want to continue to add the list. And obviously there are like 3 particular brands that I will not like encourage or even want them to be part of this project. So you will have to make sure you read it clearly, and then don't just randomly write, like draw something and say this is the piece, because I think it's important for you to actually think clearly the concept, what kind of things you want to like express through your illustration or your description. So you can contact us, like 4 of us. Basically, we create this campaign. I don't know if Chris is here, but Chris also helped me, and actually Nick Pinney also helped me as well, because I want an opinion from a non-Asian. So there's just like so many people actually helped me on this project, but I also want to continue to improve it, like what we should add, what kind of new ideas we should do. This whole month, we're actually going to promote this campaign. That's why there's no open call whatsoever, because I don't want you guys to get distracted. Let's all focus our power on this one and see what this community or what other artists can do. And I think it's also really important that if you know any artists that are not part of the Draw Dot community, it doesn't matter. It can be a photographer, any type of artist. Forward them this campaign. See if they want to get involved. I mean, yes, I know some people are not in the creative field, and they're like, I want to be part of it. I saw someone actually post an Instagram IGTV under with the hashtag Share Your Asian Story, and talk about the problems she is dealing with every day in America. So if that's the case, if you're not a creative type person, I can also suggest you to actually maybe look into your archives, look at all the pictures you have taken. Maybe you can talk about your childhood, or you can talk about your culture and let people know about it. And if you have, like, I mean, sure, there's some people who want to take selfie, which I know, but if you're actually going to do it, make sure that in your description, you actually write something about it. Like, maybe you can just say, this is me, but behind this face, behind this mask, this is my story. And you tell people, because maybe you have a perfect image, but inside you, maybe you're broken because people have been like saying nasty words about you. Maybe people have been like discriminating you, saying that using like those nasty words to describe Asians. Say that, because we all need to know, we all need to learn. And again, non-Asians, we need your help, we need your support. So if you can think of any ideas that you think can help us, let us know too. 4 of us, we are here to like talk to you. We welcome all kinds of ideas, because we know that it's not just us 4. There are way too many people out there.
Actually, Marcus, one of my, a photographer friend of mine who took my portrait last year as part of a series that he was doing on artists in Los Angeles.
Yes.
When I posted actually the previous illustration, I did an illustration of a film.
Yeah.
And, you know, I wrote something about the issue. He messaged me and he said, you know, what can I do to help? I would love to donate a piece. And, you know, he's like, why not start an art fundraiser to
yes,
maybe, you know.
This is something that I will be talking to Hate is a Virus.
Okay.
I actually have another meeting with them this week, and I think we will actually further collaborate on more things, because at one point, like illustrators, if you're listening, we actually are toying around with the magazine idea. So we just don't know how we're going to do this yet, but there are a few ideas on the table right now. We just have to refine it and see what is the best way to do it. So that is why when you are creating your illustration, make sure that you put effort in it, because there is a chance that we might find a way to pick your illustration and ask you like to give a more like detailed story about your piece. So it's not just about drawing a face now. Like fashion, whether you like to draw fashion brands or not, that doesn't matter. The most important part is please have a message behind that piece. And I don't want like, I mean, we were kind of attacked by another artist like a while ago, and I really want that to make sure that we can protect this. Not necessarily with the Draw Dot Together hashtag, but then the Share Your Asian Story hashtag is really specifically for this cause. So it's really important for us to actually look into this and learn the stories from each artist.
Yeah.
So yes, that's all I have to say.
Okay.
Especially I didn't really have a lot of sleep, and I still have another Instagram live to do later tonight.
Marcus, you don't sleep at all.
Marcus, are you
tried.
going to be able to do a group live?
I think you need to teach me how to do it, because what happened is I actually type, when you actually go on Instagram live, there is like sort of like a few underlines, and I type that, I type a chat room, like I type the room, and then when I go live, I don't see that camera thing.
Yeah, I think you don't have the feature yet, maybe.
So basically, once you go live, you see the camera.
Yeah, it's right there. Yeah, it's a US thing. I think you might need have someone in the US be the one to start it.
Maybe, or I will figure some, I don't know. Well,
If you need me to join,
I might need you to join. I might need you to join, but it's at 5 p.m. your time. It's like 8 p.m. my time.
Okay. Okay.
Because we are actually getting the designer seeing from private policy to talk to us about
Okay.
her experience in New York, because she lives in China, but her business is actually in New York. And she's really vocal about what's going on in the States right now. And we really want to get like everyone together to talk about this. Maybe like, because Represent Asian Project is going to be part of this as well. She's a good friend of mine, and she talks about a lot of different like Asian things in the media.
Okay.
So there is a chance that if I can't start the room, then you have to help me to start the room, and then invite her,
Okay.
invite Seeing, and then like.
And then
I don't
I
know,
think
you
I can
guys
probably leave, right? I mean, I don't have to stay.
No, I don't think you can. I think you have to be monitoring the room.
Oh, okay.
Because once you leave, the whole thing is over.
Okay, so I think, well, I am, that just happens to be the window of time where I don't have anything going on from 5 o'clock to 6:30. So I could, stay on if you
I will
need me
let
to.
you know. Maybe like you can teach me again how to do that Instagram live, and I can see if it actually works, because I don't see that camera thing. But they already promote that I can do like a 4-way live, so I don't. Yeah, live. Every day I have challenges, but today, at least, I'm just so happy that we wrote out this campaign. We're gonna see some interesting like illustrations coming up. I know, because there's some cool like artists already on board. They already told me that send me the brief. I want to be part of it. So, expect to see a really amazing artwork from Connie Lim. She's also another Korean, and then she just draw beautiful like girls, and I know that her piece is actually going to like be based on Vogue Korea.
Oh, wow.
So
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to the people that have been here and have been, showing their support in the messages. Daniel, Kushner, Hanan, everybody
yes,
that's come, and thank you so much for the love. I really felt the love coming through, and I really appreciate you all.
yes. And Sandra, see, after this, make sure you post it on your Instagram TV. And
I've never done that before. How do I save it?
It will tell you once you end your like, do you want to publish on IGTV, and see if you can find a way to save it, and then send it to me so I can put it down under like Draw Dot as well, so that people can watch it.
Okay.
Because this is I think this is a really important video to talk about the campaign image, what's going on, and then how people can help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, any last words from you three illustrators?
Well, Marcus, I thought it was interesting what you mentioned when you mentioned like you just never know what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Yes.
And I don't know if you guys saw the Oprah interview with Meghan Markle on Prince Harry. I mean, talk about like you don't know what's going on behind the scenes
You
there.
never know.
You know what I mean? So it's like you would think like, oh my gosh, he's a prince and she married a prince and now they're gonna live happily ever after. In the meantime, she was suffering so much. My goodness.
Yes, I
So you
mean,
just never know. You know, you just never know. So I thought that was kind of just a perfect example of
that is why I feel like everyone in the Asian community probably has a story to tell,
yeah,
because at some point they might get discriminated, they might get some kind of like weird experience that they
exactly.
didn't even realize until now. Like I didn't realize that until now that it's actually not right to call someone ESL. Like
Wow.
Yeah.
this is not right. You like imagine you would talk if Karen and Beck, you speak Korean, then if someone talked to you in Korean and then they're not good at speaking Korean, will you call them, oh yeah, you are KSL, Korean as second language? You
Well,
will
that's
never
like
do that.
casual racism, right? That's
Yeah,
so casual and, you know, covert.
it's like a joke, but then at the same time you're
Yeah.
like, actually this is not right. Like
That is,
I like, for example, Sandra, if someone talked to you in Mandarin, you with like an accent, you will not say, oh, you are such a like MSL, like Mandarin second language. You I don't even see this exist. So the only word I know is PSL, like pumpkin spice latte. But that's about it. Like ESL is a really weird like phrase coined by non-Asians.
Well, English as a
Basically,
second language, right? Like that's
yes,
what,
English as a second
yeah.
language. I mean, I understand ESL course. It means that maybe your English level is not as good as
Hmm.
the normal class. That's why you
Yeah,
need
but
to
they were
take an
using
English.
it as a slur.
Yeah,
It was
but
used as a
now
slur.
people are like, huh, you can't really speak English. You're a ESL. So you're
Yeah.
like, okay, now what? So, I mean, this is something that we need to correct. And please, like, if you're watching this, make sure that you acknowledge our nationality instead of just saying that we are together as Asian, because we will never say you are just European or you are North American. We
And
probably have, like, yeah,
I was going to say, I love what Michelle Lee posted, you know, the editor in chief of Allure.
yeah,
You know, to be anti-racist is to, you know, to just really take in and understand and the Asian experience.
yes,
And I don't think I said it correctly, but it's like basically you need to understand the Asian experience. And I think
yes,
that's so important. And that's part of being an anti-racist.
yeah.
absolutely.
I
Well,
think
yeah.
I think it is a time to be proactive, educational, and raise awareness what is happening around the world. We need to be seen. Like it's okay to be seen. I mean, we're talking about our safety issue, our rights, and the older generation, like my mother, my in-law, um, you know, the hate crime target is mostly Asian American senior. I mean, they paved every single road for us, and it is time for us to stand up for them.
Yeah,
We have to protect them. We have
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
protect
yeah,
us and our future by doing better.
yeah. Protect the older generation and prepping for the next generation so that they can have a better life in
Yeah.
foreign countries
And
and they can
demand to
feel
be
like home.
seen.
Yeah,
Demand to
de-
be seen, just like Amanda said.
demand to be seen, and I mean the non-Asians need to welcome them to their country. Sort of like, yes, we welcome you to be in the States. Your family. This is something that I think we all need to do.
Yeah, and even sort of the positive stereotypes of Asians are not something that help us in the end, because that model minority myth of hardworking, quiet, you know,
Subservient.
subservient, those are only things that actually keep us down. Like, you know, Asian Americans are very underrepresented in the top levels of the corporate world and the top levels of every field, because there is that bamboo ceiling, and that model minority myth keeps us down. Because yes, we're easily hired right out of college for that middle level, you know, hardworking, put in the hours, you know, give your all to the company kind of standard. But when it comes to rising to the top, Asian Americans are not there, and there is a high poverty level among you know, older Asian Americans. There are all these things that are not being, there are all these stories that are not being told by the existence of that model minority myth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree on this, 100%.
Yeah.
So, any other final words from all three of you?
Just grateful for
Oh,
all
I
of you
know.
guys.
It was
Yes.
Just
so
so
much
grateful.
fun.
Yeah, this is so fun. This project is just so fun. Now, now we are relying on this community now to grow it bigger, and hopefully we can reach to some really powerful people that can continue to like promote this campaign. Ultimately, it doesn't need to be through Drawdog. I mean, this project, someone can take it and make it bigger. The ultimate goal for us to it's basically we want to bring awareness. We want people to understand us. That's the goal.
Yeah, but it's
Simple.
just like how you started with one, you know, an illustration starts with one dot, and we started with one, you know,
One
needing
campaign
one,
image.
yeah, one mission, one campaign, and you know, and look how much you've grown your community, and hopefully we will spread the word just as much.
Yes, please do. Anyone watching this, if you can spread it out to your friends, maybe you can talk about it on your Instagram story, tell people about this campaign, see how many people can get involved. The more, the better, not just fashion illustration, any kind of art forms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And thank
Thank
you,
you.
Marcus. Thank you
No,
for, being the
no
catalyst for this.
problem.
Yes.
No problem at all. I think we should thank Sandra for this because Sandra actually hooked me up with Hate as a Virus one day,
Oh,
and I just
yay,
got into that
Sandra.
meeting. I'm like, cool. And then suddenly it's like a trigger point from that, and then afterwards the whole like bashing for Draw Dot together, and I can finally understand the pain you guys experiencing. So I'm like, okay, it's time to make it work. We need to like get it quick. We should do it within 2 weeks. So that's why in my mind, like, okay, for my grid, I want it to be pretty. So I need to find 3 illustrators. And then I'm like, yes, let's do Asian Americans because we want them to shine this time. So that's why I'm like, Sandra, Karen, back, perfect fit.
Hey, I also wanted to say something else too.
Yes.
I was gonna say, when a racist incident happens, I think a lot of us just kind of freeze, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know for me, it's just like so shocking. Like, wait, is this actually happening right now?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm,
And then
mm-hmm.
it's like you don't even know what to say. And I know for just children that are younger, I'm sure for them, and I'm sure as we all know, like it must be so traumatic for them. But as now that we're getting older, I think, for me especially, like I need to practice saying, what do you mean by that? I know
Yeah.
we discussed this last time, but I think non-Asians can also help by
Yeah.
asking, what do you
Absolutely.
mean by that? And just
Mhm.
speaking up when they see something too,
Yep.
and Asians are not around, you know. So I
Absolutely.
think
Thank you.
that's so important, right? Like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. But I also have a last thing I want to say is for people in the Asian community, we also really need your support. So why did I say that is because after that incident 2 weeks ago, I posted on stories on my personal account, on Draw account, talking about this. I probably have less than 5 Asians DM me and ask me what's going on. They just look at it and they just pass the whole story. Some of them will. I remember after that I talked to one of them, and then they're like, "Yeah, you shouldn't even like bother by this anymore. You shouldn't even like engage and stuff." So it's sort of like showing that Asians, we need to be united. We need to be supporting for each other because when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when one person is down, everyone is supporting.
Yeah.
Now, if one Asian is down, everyone is running, running away. So, so let's change the direction. All goes back to like to support the Asians. So through this experience, I
Yeah.
know we just still have a lot of work we need to do.
And I feel like what happened too, and I think it probably comes from like just our culture, right? Like
Yeah.
you just want to just move on. Like, don't worry, everything's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
Just pretend like it didn't happen. Just move on, right?
Yeah.
And
This is
I think that's the part that needs to change.
absolutely, like, this is toxic positivity. So no, like, we
Yeah.
need to actually do physical actions. We need to
Yeah.
mentally, like, supporting the other members in the community. So that's
definitely.
the last thing I want to say, if you guys have nothing to say.
I think we could go on. Last time I think we were on Zoom, we were on for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 hours, yes, but I think this will board all
Yeah,
the
I know.
people
Yeah.
on
Like,
Instagram.
bye.
Yes,
Later. We'll just Zoom later.
we can
Yeah.
Zoom later. I mean, maybe at the end of this project, maybe like 3 weeks later, we can have a Zoom and talk about, so what kind of things we have achieved. Have we done,
Yeah.
should we do more about this? Like, what's next?
Yeah.
So
Well,
we
and then
can
in
totally talk.
May is Asian American Pacific Islander Month, AAPI
Yes,
month.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's only for the States, right?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Asian American Pacific Islander Month. Yeah. So, I mean,
Yeah.
but still,
Yeah.
you know, we could still, you know, amplify our voices.
You're like, I want to
Like,
do
oh,
something. I'm like, okay, we can talk about that and see what we can do.
or not.
Oh wait, I mean anything.
We're like, we're
We
having
are just
API month now, so
yeah, we are just here to like talk and brainstorm. Any artists, any, like, if you guys have any ideas, I'm open to all ideas. I know some illustrators already like message me, can we talk about ageism? Just because of British folk. So
oh yeah, the
I
talk
mean,
yesterday was so interesting. It was so great.
yes, we haven't heard anything from them. So I mean, we have done our job, but we will see what happens. But right now, I mean, for this month, as I said, I don't want to focus on any other things other than Asian racism, and this is the main thing that we should be doing.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think we should end now.
Okay.
And then Sandra, try to figure out, like, make sure that you save it, and then you put it under your IGTV, and see if you know a way to actually like send this video to me so that I can show it to everyone.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do I end it?
I guess we're just gonna be here till the next IG live.
I've never started one before.
Just gonna have to continue talking. Don't stop, you guys.
No, I mean, Karen, you can continue play with your
I know,
filters.
like, let me just go back to my filter again. That was so much fun. Guys,
Do I
like,
just
this is
click the close
amazing.
button? Do I just click the X at the top and then it'll...
Yes, you
Ooh.
I see.
just hit X.
No, it's not just it. Clueless.
That's okay. I mean, the fact that you even like got this started is pretty amazing.
Hey, I got it started, right?
Oh my god, like, Karen is like, I am so happy with my filters right now.
You guys,
Don't
I was
cut
so
me.
scared that they didn't have filters. I was like, look at Instagram. Of course they would have filters on IG Live.
Oh yeah, there is one really special one from Private Policy.
Oh,
That is actually from their collection.
Nice.
that is so cool. I love it.
So and it's like, let's all stick to illustrations. No future in IT. Yes, I totally agree. We have no.
That's so true.
All right,
I
so
am
that-
not
All right,
good
we're
with
good. So
IT.
click close and then just save it and then
Okay.
put it IGTV and find a way to send that video to me.
I will. Love you
Thank you
guys.
so much. Love you
You
guys.
too.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.